Hey guys, and welcome back to the Central Buzz News. I hope you had a great weekend. Today is Monday, April 27th, and our current time right now is 9:57 a.m. So I'm going to show you a little different today. I'm actually just going to start at 9 o'clock and figure out where that hand would be for 57. So remember, we don't count the 12, but we're going to start at the 1. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Now remember, I said that it was 9:57. I know that this is 55, so I'm going to have to use the little dots in between, 56, 57. This is 9:57. And I know that looks crazy because that hour hand is so close to the 10. But remember, it's not exactly on the 10 or past it, so it still belongs to the 9. So this is what 9:57 looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our interesting facts for today. We actually have a special guest who will be talking about a certain topic, so our interesting facts match that topic today. So the first one is that the North Carolina, the state we live in, state bird is actually the red cardinal. So if you ever see a red cardinal, that's something that's super special because it is the bird of our state. The second bird fact that I have for you is that an ostrich only has 2 toes. So you're probably already thinking about our special guest and what their topic is going to be. And if you're thinking birds, then you are correct based off of our facts. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, we're going to go over our math concept for today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, we're going to be working on number 4 on this paper. So if you need to take a minute to pause your screen, that is where the problem will be, and you have a second to pause because I'll be just reading it, but that's what it looks like. So our problem today says there are 5 buses to take the marching band to the game. If each bus holds 30 band members, how many band members are going to the game? So before I even think about what type of problem this is or what operation I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to start envisioning it. So I'm not going to take a long time to draw 5 buses, but I know that buses hold things. So in my mind, a bus is like a group. So I'm going to draw 5 groups to stand for my buses. And I know that each bus holds 30 band members. Now, I can draw 30 tally marks in each circle, but that would take me a really long time. So I'm just going to write the number 30. This is a strategy I love to use because I just feel like it saves time and it helps me use some other skills, which I'm getting ready to show you now in just a second. So far, my work matches the problem. I have 5 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 5 buses, because we always want to remember what these things stand for in the problem. And there are 30 band members on each. So that's 30 inside of each one, not 30 total. So this is what I'm looking at so far. So I'm starting to think, okay, 5 groups times 30 in each, or I'm saying 30, how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my equation is 5 times 30. It could also be 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. So one thing, there's 2 ways actually that I could do this. So the first way we actually talked about in our last newscast, and that is using our smaller facts to think about what the bigger answer would be. Well, what is 5 times 3? I'm going to give you just a second to answer that. Okay, if you said 15, you are correct. So if 5 times 3 is 15, then 5 times 30 would be 150. So I didn't have to count tally marks, I don't have to count on my fingers, I don't have to do anything other than use that fact. Another thing that I've seen people do, and I'm just going to switch colors so I can show you. I've had kids tell me in the past, well, I can count by 3s really easily. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, but since it's not just a 3, it's 30, that would be 150. So you can do that either way. So that is our math concept for today. And now we're going to move on to our special guest. So our special guest today is Mrs. Fancher, and she is a fourth grade teacher here at BCC. And some of you guys might know her, and some of you, if you're in third grade, might have her next year as a teacher. So she is going to tell us about some birds today. That is our topic, and we are so excited to have her show us some awesome things and give us some resources on birds. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Fancher.
Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Fancher. I'm coming to you from my backyard, actually partly my yard and my neighbor's yard, because I wanted to share with you something that I think maybe you can enjoy during this time, part of getting out in nature, and especially today's Earth Day. So I wanted to share with you these ideas, and maybe it'll turn into something for you that'll be a lifetime hobby. So I'm going to flip the camera around because I want to show you something that my neighbor has in their yard, if I can get it to flip. If not, I'm just going to turn it around. And here's what it says. Certified Wildlife Habitat. This property provides the 4 basic habitat elements needed for wildlife to thrive: food, water, cover, and places to raise young. So I hope you were able to see that. But now I wanted to share with you and see if you can hear, there's a lawnmower in the background, but see if beyond that lawnmower sound, if you can hear the birds. There's lots of birds out here, birds that all of you probably have seen in your backyard, and hopefully after this video, Miss Abernathy will share with you a link where you can go and look at some birds and maybe begin to identify them in your backyard. And the simple way to do that is to start with a notebook and just sit and listen. And when you see a bird come by, jot down in your notebook what time of day it is, what the bird's doing, and then try to sketch a copy of what that bird looks like. But the other thing I wanted to share with you is how you can help your birds. You know, my neighbor's lucky because he has a green thumb, and that means he's able to plant plants and do things. And I've just moved into my house, so I don't have a lot of those things in my yard yet. But I do have some simple things that probably you have at your house that you can use to help the birds in your habitat enjoy it. So one of the first things I'm going to share with you is, oh goodness, yeah, sorry about that. That was a big old bee on my leg. The first thing I want to share with you is this bird box. Now this is something my dad built, and it's especially for bluebirds, although I've found that some birds like to move in it other than bluebirds. But what's cool about this bird box is that after the nesting season is over, you can open it up and clean out the nest and make way for the next set of family of birds to come along. And probably some of your dads can build those. You can buy them in different places. My dad liked to build them out of scrap lumber. And so this is just one that I happen to have left over. Another thing that you can do, you know, a lot of birds don't build in birdhouses, they build simple nests. So what you can do is you can collect some things, and I've got some samples here. Here's some straw. Here's just some fine shredded grass, or not shredded grass, but leftover grass from mowing the lawn. You can gather up small sticks and things. And I've even seen birds that like to build their nests out of trash that blows along. And there are a lot of birds that like that silvery tinsel stuff that you put on trees, Christmas trees. So if you have any of those things, you can lay those things out on a picnic table or near a tree where you've seen some birds you know, fluttering around. But some other things that you may not have thought of that would really help the birds is, this is a wad of dog hair. Yeah. I gave my dog a bath, and after it was all over, I scraped up all the leftover fur, and I'll just toss it outside for the birds to pick up. Now I know, as many of you can tell, because like in my hair it needs to be hair, or I need to have a haircut too. You can, if your mom is one who trims your hair, you can take the trimmings from your hair and throw them out for the birds. Also something, and I don't have a really good example of it, but this is lint from the dryer. You know, after you've dried your clothes and you've got to clean out that lint, you can put that out there. So imagine how the birds would feel all nice and comfy with some hair or some lint from your dryer to pad their nests with for the baby birds. All right, the other thing I wanted to share with you is how you can attract some birds and be able to enjoy them throughout the summer and early winter. All right, so I've taken an orange here and I've cut it apart, and the website I was looking at said there's lots of birds that are natural to our habitat who love oranges. So what you can do is you can get a nail and tap it into a fence post or to a tree or something, and you want to put it up high enough to where like a cat couldn't get it. But then what you can do is you can take the orange and press it onto the nail through the back, and then the birds that enjoy that can come along and eat that. They also like raisins, so here's a box of raisins like you probably have been getting in your grab-and-go box or lunch sacks. So they love raisins. Now, a few weeks right after school was out, I know that Mrs. Abernathy, I think maybe Mrs. Weissong, shared with you how another way that you can feed birds using pine cones. So I want to do a little twist on that. And I know you all know what this is because we've all been on the search for it. But I've taken a simple toilet paper tube, and this yarn, or this string, I even found blowing out in my yard. But what you want to do is you want to take the string and insert it through your tube, bring it out the other side, and then once you get it just where you want it to be, you'll tie off the top of it so it'll make a nice little hanging thing. And I've gone ahead and prepared one ahead of time. So when you did your pine cones bird feeder, you took peanut butter. So I have some peanut butter, and I didn't have any kid-friendly cereal here at my house, so I had to use some bran flakes. But a better idea might be to use some Fruit Loops or some Cheerios or something like that. And what you do is you take your tube and you smear the peanut butter on it, and then you take your cereal and attach it to the peanut butter. And then you can hang it up in a tree and wait for the birds to come by. Not only will they eat the cereal, but many birds love the peanut butter. Now the other idea would be maybe to use another paper towel tube, or maybe even the opposite side of this one, and adhere the peanut butter to it, and then attach the nesting material like the hay or the lint or the grass to it. And while the birds eat, they can also grab some stuff to build their nest with. And one last thing that you might want to consider, many of you have those mason jars, like a mayonnaise sized jar at home. And if you take it and you get a special adapter to it, you can create something called the hummingbird feeder. And it's a little too early to put these out yet. I bought this one at one of the local grocery stores when I was doing my grocery shopping. But you fill it up with sugar water, and I believe it's a 1-to-4 ratio, so it's mostly water and then 1 part sugar. You fill it up, and then you hang it in a nice location that would attract the hummingbirds, and they come and are attracted to the red color thinking it's a flower, and then they come fly inside and drink the nectar. So those are just a couple of ideas that I just wanted to share with you. Get out and enjoy nature. We don't need to be cooped up in the house all day, and starting this habit of being able to listen to the birds and identify them. I don't know if you could see one. One just landed down there in the yard. But thankfully, because of my neighbors, I see all kinds of beautiful birds here. So that's just my idea. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.
All right, well, thank you again to Miss Fancher. All of that information was so awesome, and I hope that you guys are out doing some of the things that she showed you in the video, and we're just so grateful to have had her on the show today. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.